Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, do you know the fight, cats and dogs? You think you know the fight?
I think I know the fight. You want to know what
It doesn't matter what you think.
Welcome everybody to the Hands of Justice. We got our own opinion. You're gonna have to trust us. Lifestyle, fitness, and a hot top 5 list. Pure entertainment, talking fighters with fly fists. MMA, Bellator, boxing type ish.
Hands of justice. Let's get ready. They say whatever the fuck they want. You damn right.
Hands of Justice.
And now your hosts, James Hand and Seth Justice.
What is up, fuckers?
The mic threw you off, didn't it?
A little bit. It was a little loud, and I was like, what? And then I remembered, oh, wait, I'm wearing good headphones this time.
Right, you're not wearing them cheap headphones like you normally wear.
Right. So what is up, folks? Hands of Justice coming at ya. Pow, 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 pow. And we have a lot to talk about today. Got some UFC, got some top 5, and got some, of course, awesome news. So, you know us and James Hand, the handy hand.
Do what I do best.
The Penn State, the unfortunate state of affairs they're in because of Ohio State. And then Seth Justice here, hook 'em. And yeah, so we're off and running here. James, what we got right away?
Well, real quick, this is not a live episode, pre-tape, because we both had big plans for Saturday, so we couldn't be here, but we still wanted to give you guys some content, at least. We're going to talk UFC 229, which was a huge event. UFC 230, the 25th anniversary, which is going to be okay, I guess. Then we got our top 5 coming up, and we have got our what the fuck news.
What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. So with that being said, let's just start it. Let's get into UFC 229.
And real quick, actually, because it's funny, because we were doing a fight commentary or companion, whatever you want to call it.
The man shut us
And
down.
the man shut us down not once, not twice, but 3 times. No, 4 times.
Because
that's
after-
right, 4 times.
The third time was on me because I did tag them on it after I tried to re-upload it. But other than that,
Hey,
you can go to YouTube and actually
check it out.
check out the ending of it.
And absolutely, you should check out Hands of Justice regardless on YouTube, as well as Mixcloud and Facebook and all that. Like and subscribe, as well as Instagram. I couldn't remember the other one. I knew there was another one.
And you can contact UFC at Dana White for
Say Hands of Justice, along with the Joe Rogan Experience, should be a mainstay when it comes to the podcasting.
What about Ariel Awani? I mean, he's still in deep shit over that whole Brock Lesnar thing.
Yeah, because he's a dumbass.
But with that being said, UFC 229, we were here watching it, not streaming the fight, but actually just doing a companion piece like Seth said.
Right.
And amazing show.
Amazing. It was a really good show through and through, all the way from the prelims. You know,
Even the early prelims were good.
right, and here's the thing. My girl, Yana Kunitskaya, was phenomenal, and that was the first fight that we saw, which was the final of the early prelims. And honestly, some of the young fighters coming up right now in the UFC are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
They are really, really good, supremely talented. And all in all, it was a good card. And then you get up to the the UFC 229 prelims. I mean, you had some really good fights, and one that really disappointed me was Gray Maynard. Now, this guy hadn't fought in 3-4 years or something like that.
But he looked like he hadn't fought in 3 or 4
he
years.
He looked bad, man. That was really disappointing for me, just because I remember him in his heyday, and just him versus Frankie Edgar, putting on show after show. Frankie couldn't beat him for the longest time, and then finally got over the hump on that one. So very, very happy with that. But again, like I said, it was a rough go for Gray Maynard. He was up against
Who, Maynard?
Yeah, he was up against, I can't remember.
Lentz.
Yeah. And Lenz,
Lynch.
He's an older fighter as well, but he isn't of the caliber that Gray Maynard was.
It only went 2 rounds.
rounds,
Lynch had 3 minutes to control. 92 total strikes landed of the 121.
Right.
75 of 101 on significance.
Right. And then you also had Holtzman versus Alan Patrick. That was a good fight. Holtzman got a KO/TKO in the third round with 3:42 left. Didn't really get to see much of that one. But one I really want to talk about is Aspen Ladd versus Tanya Evinger. Evinger is, a really, really good veteran fighter. Has been in contention for a long, long time, but has fallen of late. And Aspen Ladd is just phenomenal. She's 7-0 now, and she got a knockout in the first round, 3.5 minutes in, or it was over in 3.5, or basically a minute.
A minute 40.
Minute 40. So she's one to look out for, but her voice is just the funniest thing in the goddamn world.
It is.
And you're like, wait a minute, where's your glasses? Where's your like your comic books or some shit like that? I mean, nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying it was funny as all hell.
She dominated that fight too.
I mean, honestly, it was over. Tanya didn't have anything for her.
And this could have been maybe because, and they actually gave Ladd and Evinger one of the performances of the nights.
Well, mainly Aspen, but again, yeah, she got one of the performances of the night.
Bonus.
Yeah. Well, one fight that should have and didn't. Well, we'll talk about that here in a minute. Moving on to the prelim welterweight fight. Vicente Luque defeated Jalen Turner by KO in the first round as well. Minute 10.
Minute 13, yeah.
Minute 15, something like that.
Turner looked bad.
Yeah, Turner looked young. He looked inexperienced. And Luque, he looked better than he's ever looked in the UFC. Yes, he has 14 wins, 6 losses, 1 no contest, but he looked dominant.
Well, yeah, he threw 40. He landed 41 of his 64, 41. Right. All of his punches were significant strikes, too.
That was the main importance of this fight, especially against Jalen Turner, who is that OSP type, is the Israel Adesanya type.
Is a John Jones-esque with
type.
the
has
reach.
Length, has the ability to hit, but he needs to learn how to use his length. That's kind of the big issue he's running into. He's just not there yet when it comes to his talent and then his technical aptitude. But a really good fight for all it was. Jalen Turner didn't really have any high spots in this. Luque kind of just took it all. Now, a fight that also kind of disappointed me was Sergio Pettis versus Yusuf Formiga. Now, this went to a decision, but Pettis, man, Sergio Pettis didn't look good at all.
No.
And Formiga, he just looked like a wrestler who, he landed a few shots, but got Sergio on his back and, just dominated. Well, not really dominated. This was kind of a boring fight. At one point, though, Formiga was on the back of Sergio Pettis and not moving.
No.
And Sergio Pettis literally walked around the ring with Formiga on his back, and you're just like, dude, slam his ass.
Right.
What the hell are you doing? And
you can definitely tell he's not I guess you'd say not as great as his brother.
Yeah, I mean, he's 17-4 now, but, dude, you need to wake up. And it's official now. He is moving back to bantamweight.
Which might be a good thing for him.
Yes, I would agree because flyweight, man, it wasn't a good fit. It wasn't a good marriage. The weight wasn't right. Most of his wins did come in the bantamweight division. So he'll be trying to climb that route and get to T.J. Dillashaw instead of a Henry Cejudo. But with that, Formiga, you'd think a title shot is imminent. But with his performance, he did beat the number 2 ranked flyweight. But Formiga, he's not going to, against DJ or Cejudo, I don't know if he's going to be really anything. Moving on into the main card. First fight there was a women's strawweight. It was Michelle Waterson versus Felice Herrig.
Good match.
Good fight. It was awesome. Herrig, she had some bright spots in this fight. She lost by decision.
She had the control and the takedown aspect of this fight,
but she couldn't finish the fight.
No,
and that's kind of her downfall over her time in the UFC. So I don't know if it's her striking needs a little bit of improvement, and so does her ground game work. And maybe a change of camps would do that.
Maybe she might be better off going to see like the Dutch team.
Maybe
for that like for that wrestling more, but the Dutch team also. And the only reason I know this is because of UFC 3 the game. They're one of the actual teams you can train with. Yes, they do focus on wrestling, but they also focus on the striking ability as well.
And how to finish a fight.
Right.
Yeah. But, we'll see. Michelle Waterson looking like a monster right now.
Title opportunity, possibly? The Karate Hottie versus Amanda Nunes. Versus the Lioness, basically.
Listen, I don't think Amanda Nunes is going to lose that title anytime soon. So, there's that one. Moving on to the next one. Derek Lewis versus Alexander Volkov.
This could very well have been the fight of the night.
It very well could.
Up until this point, this was the fight that we all enjoyed.
Well, and honestly, Lewis looked 20 times better than he did against Francis Ngannou. Now, he looked healthy. He looked good. His cardio, again, is an issue. And we'll get into that cardio here in a second. But
lucky the fight wasn't stopped in the first round.
Right, because Volkov, he pushed back a little bit because he thought he poked him in the eye, which, regardless, if you're a fighter, if the referee doesn't stop the fight, then you don't stop the fight.
Right, you got to keep going.
So Volkov, he controlled this fight all of 2.5 rounds.
I think Volkov needs to work with Turner because Volkov was really using that reach on the legs and the arms a lot more.
He knows he's very smart and he knows how to use his frame and whatnot. I think he just needs more weight room, man. I think he needs to add power to his punches because I think right now he's missing a lot. But again, he can hit and hit and hit, and most other fighters he would have knocked out. But Derek Lewis has a chin and a half on him. And Derek Lewis, being gassed as all hell, being, damn near out of this fight, just brought something out within him and knocked out Volkov in the third round. And it was talk about a power punch. That was a power punch and knocked out Volkov. Gets the win, and
the afterwards was the best.
Yeah, and his balls were hot.
Right.
He goes out, drops his shorts, and says his balls were hot to Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan just laughed. But
then he had the brilliant Donald Trump called me and
beat this Russian. So with that, Derek Lewis, it's already announced that November he will go up against Daniel Cormier.
Bad fight, I think.
Yeah, I don't agree with this. Just because it's a month after, or not even a month, 3 weeks after you just fought.
I'm actually surprised the fighting commission was against this. Honestly, because Lewis was taking shots.
If it was in Vegas, he would not be fighting. But it's in New York. And New York is relatively new. And so you're not going to necessarily get that same deal.
Okay.
But with this, Lewis needs to work on cardio. He needs to exclusively get his cardio up. He's a hell of a power puncher, and one shot can change the fight.
And he proved that he proved it against Volkov.
Now the thing he really needs to work on is takedown defense and cardio. 2 things you can do simultaneously.
It's the battle of the chicken now.
Yeah, Popeyes is gonna be loving this fight.
I have a feeling they're gonna sponsor this somehow.
Probably. But with this, Lewis, he has an uphill hill to climb. But we'll see. Lewis in this fight at least looked good.
Lewis was also awarded performance of the night on this fight as well, as he should have, really.
Right.
There was It was 15 seconds into the third round, or 15 seconds left in the third round when the fight happened, when the knockout happened. But I mean, I was impressed by Lewis, but I just don't think he even admitted he's not ready for a Cormier.
He's been saying that for months, and ever since he.
I'd rather see Lewis versus Brock.
Yeah, I would too. I think that will eventually happen, maybe next summer.
Depends on how the Cormier-Brock goes. This fight, I mean, we could very well see Brock's return match against a Derek Lewis.
Right. So moving on a little bit, we're going to the light heavyweight division with Ovince St. Peru versus Dominic Reyes. And Jesus Christ.
They gave this as a decision. This was a knockout finish.
Right. It should have been a knockout finish. Dominic Reyes dominated this fight.
Oh. How many times they go to commercial because St. Peru was still on the ground.
Right. And St. Peru, he is a phenomenal talent. Has reach, has all the things you want in a fighter. His mind isn't there, and neither is his technical aptitude. So it's on him. It's on his want and his need. He is 23-12, and I guarantee you all of his wins are either by knockout or by decision. No submissions, and it might be unanimous decision or split decision. Because OSP, he's got phenomenal attributes to be a phenomenal fighter.
Well, he's got great wrestling, conditioning, striking.
He is genetically gifted, but he just chooses not to adapt his game. Honestly, what I think he needs to do, go up to Duke Roufus up in Chicago. Honestly. Go there or go out in LA, go in with Eddie Bravo or with Jiu-Jitsu.
He's got a couple submission wins.
He's got a couple, but none. Yeah, not a lot.
No, he's got one against Tyson Pedro, Okami.
Nobody.
So, yeah, he's been submitted in round one. He's been knocked out. So
his issue is being in a camp that's not pushing him. And the reason for his 12 losses are because of that. He's not being pushed. And he is just happy where he's at, which is a shame. He, at one time, was a light heavyweight title contender. Now, it's going to be damn lucky if he ever sees one in the next year.
What's the odds are if he takes another loss, maybe UFC just cuts him?
It's very good because OSP,
I mean, Bellator will cash in on it.
Because he like I said, he's got the attributes. He's got the body. He's got the genetics to go into a Bellator and do good things. But that being said, he just needs that technical side to round out his game and just be a smarter fighter. I don't know if he'll ever get to that point, though, because it's been however many years now, and most of his losses have become of his stupidity.
So let's get to what they hailed as the fight of the night.
Oh, this fight was phenomenal.
Tony Ferguson, Anthony Pettis ended at the end of the second round. It was a medical decision, but they did give Ferguson the knockout TKO.
Yes. So with this, Tony Ferguson, like Tony Ferguson fashion, uses relentless pressure.
Yeah.
His cardio is phenomenal. Honestly, he could go a 5-round fight and just be perfectly fine. Tony Ferguson just pounded on the pressure. Anthony Pettis
took a beating.
He took a beating, but he was giving it right back to him.
Honestly. I mean, both fighters bloodied up.
Right. Well, and mostly Anthony's blood, but Pettis broke his hand in the first round.
But still kept going.
And I saw that on there. I was like, did he break his hand?
Yeah.
It looked very evident that he did.
It looked the way Matt Brown broke his hand against Robbie Lawler.
Right. And then at the end of the second round, Pettis' corner was like, "No, man, you can't do it anymore."
He lost way entirely too much blood in that fight.
Yeah, he did.
Joe Rogan and the other guy got blood all over them.
Right. It was really funny. Joe Annick.
Do you believe it was fight of the night?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was my favorite fight, and I love watching Tony Ferguson. I think he's a phenomenal talent, and honestly, one of the best fighters that's out there right now. And it's a shame he could not go up against Khabib in April.
Right? Because I think that would have been...
I don't know what Khabib would have done. I don't. And, I mean, it sets up now for Khabib versus Tony, but we got some issues with that.
Right, which we will get to.
Speaking of Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Conor McGregor.
Great fight.
It was a great fight. You saw that Conor looked rusty. You saw that his takedown defense was fairly good. So he did train that. But again, Khabib does the basics better than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there was a couple of times like McGregor took a punch.
Yeah.
And McGregor went down on one of the punches.
So with this, Khabib never looked good on his feet. I think when he's pissed off, he looks like he did on Saturday.
Like, it seemed like people were like saying, well, Khabib takes us to the ground, the fight's over. No, Khabib didn't have a problem standing and trading punches with Conor.
And he was dominating the fight. And again, Conor looked rusty. He looked like he's been off for a year now.
I don't think he should have had this title fight. I think he should have been given a tune-up fight before.
And here's the thing. So the only reason he did is because it's Conor freaking McGregor, and he's literally the draw. Sami Callihan ain't got nothing on Conor when it comes to drawing numbers.
But this is like, Khabib did win the fight, but the way that I had looked at this, like I know I'd hate to bring up Shannon Sharp and them brought this up. They said if Conor loses again, you could very well have a Ronda Rousey effect. Your top star losing so much that no one's going to care.
He's lost 3 of the last 4 fights.
Right. Well, do you count the Mayweather fight?
Yes.
Well, I take that off the book. Fights. So, yeah, if he loses one more, no one's going to care who he is.
He doesn't care. He's getting a lot of money, so why should he care?
But
he's still 21-4.
But what we're missing is what happened after the fight.
Yes. So
Paul Heyman couldn't have booked this any better.
Khabib won. They said a rear naked choke, but it was honestly a neck crank.
It looked like he was ready to break the neck.
Well, right, and that's what a neck crank is. He wasn't underneath his chin.
He was like on the chin.
He was on the chin and cranking that sucker. He was like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
I think he was telling Conor at one point, like, listen, tap or I'm going to break it.
Yeah, and I would not have doubted Khabib breaking his neck. But then we get to afterwards. Now,
which was great. Great.
But from my standpoint, I was like, really? You're a champion. So what we're talking about is Khabib, after the fight, threw his mouthpiece at Conor's team, talking all kinds of shit to Conor, and then decides to jump the cage and go after Dylan Dennis.
Which we know what was said to Khabib from Dylan Dennis. He called him a Muslim rat.
Right.
So you insulted the man's religion.
Right. And so but still you need to act like a champion and be above all the others. But he didn't. Jumped outside the cage, started a massive brawl with Conor's corner, and then Khabib's brother and another teammate jumped into the octagon.
Which Conor got one of them.
He got one of them, but as he was jumping in, and then Khabib's brother started throwing bombs and
got a couple good body shots in.
Yeah, and then Conor and the security team broke away and whatnot, and Khabib's brother is fired from the UFC.
No. He said, if you fire me, I walk.
He's fired, and Khabib said that afterwards, so if they don't rehire Khabib's brother, then he's going to walk.
Which the word is both fighters are going to be suspended.
Right, already. Vegas has already suspended them for theirs because Conor swung at Khabib's teammate before he got in the cage. He was protecting himself.
But this is what I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Did you eventually know that Conor's mouth was going to do something like this?
Of course.
Because Conor faced no punishment over the bus incident. No punishment whatsoever. Not even a suspension or he got a slap on the wrist. 20 hours community service?
Right. It was bound to happen. I didn't think in this manner.
I mean, we've seen Conor jump the cage and get in Jose Aldo's face. No, there wasn't any punches thrown. But he did leave the stage of combat.
I think this is why Khabib's not going to be stripped, is because Conor's done it. And, well, it didn't start a brawl, but...
This could have made you a new star. Conor is a star, but Khabib might be a star now, too, because of this.
He finally beat somebody that's significant. So, he finally beat somebody that is a former champion and...
A two-division champion.
So, he has beaten somebody legit. So, he is 27-0 now. His next fight presumably isn't for the foreseeable future, but I could see it against Tony.
Or do they do this rematch?
I don't think they will.
Because there'd be a lot of hype behind this rematch.
I think there would too, but I don't. Dana's gonna be like,
Do we really want to do this again? Have Ferguson, Khabib, then whoever wins maybe face McGregor?
Maybe, as long as Conor wins. So, that being said, also Las Vegas had suspended Conor due to medical reasons, probably because he got his ass totally beat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, makes sense.
But then moving into the UFC 25,
Okay.
Poirier pulled out,
Yeah.
and Diaz wants Khabib.
That's not gonna happen.
We all know that's not going to happen.
No.
Dana White's not going to reward Khabib.
No.
I think what helped Khabib in the long run was that he did apologize
Yeah.
at the press conference.
Right. Now, Nate hasn't fought in a long time, since the Conor fight, actually. So that's been about 2 years. This would have been his first fight back against Dustin Poirier. But we're going to keep that as the co-main. So this fight card is Daniel Cormier versus Derek Lewis as the main event.
Horrible fight as your.
Yeah.
It's not a horrible fight as your main event. I just don't think Lewis is ready for it. But
I agree. You have Luke Rockhold versus Chris Weidman 2.
is that going to be the co-main or is it still going to be Diaz?
Not sure.
I think they move Weidman
It'll probably
Rockhold
be
up.
the co-main. Jacare Souza versus David Branch, which I'm really excited about. Derek Brunson versus Israel Adesanya, again, very excited about. Lyman Good versus Sultan Aliyev. I don't know. Matt Frivola versus Lando Venata. Brian Kelleher versus Domingo Pilar. Carl Anderson,
Did you really just say Carl? He kind of does look like Carl Anderson if you're talking about Keller.
Yeah, I know. And then Carl Roberson versus Jack Marshman. Julio Arce versus Shimon Moraes. Shane Burgoyes, versus Kurt Hollaba. And then a guy I'm really excited for is Jason Knight. Talk about a guy who doesn't quit. Like, this dude has a motor like you've never seen. Versus Jordan Rinaldi. And then Sahara Eubanks, who was slated to fight
As the main event.
Joanna Jacek is actually going to face off against Roxanne Modafferi.
Tell me if Roxanne doesn't look like one of those soccer moms.
Right.
Like you see her in the line at school dropping off her kids.
Well, and look at the canceled fights. Rose Namajunas was supposed to fight against Joanna.
Which we do got an update on Rose for that. Also the same card that Jones and Gustafson's on.
Okay.
So they did add Nunez to that actual card already.
Namajunas.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Yoel Romero and Paulo Costa is canceled, which Paulo Costa is a monster. No wonder Yoel was like, nah. And then the Valentina Shevchenko versus Ciara Eubanks was canceled because Eubanks is fighting Roxanne. So, I mean, it's a good card.
But it's not a great card.
And it's not solid.
It's not a 25th anniversary card.
No. And that's what I was telling Tyson, who's part of Tyson's Punch-Out. It's... You need the 25th anniversary to be marquee. And this is kind of like a slap in the face. Unless they can get Diaz versus somebody major.
What about Diaz versus GSP? That could make this card even more epic.
It could. I don't know if GSP would do that. Nate Diaz is a draw, and he'll get a nice paycheck from it, but I don't know if that's what GSP wants.
I think GSP wants either Khabib or McGregor.
Yeah, but after that, I think it's Khabib, and I think that's going to be a better fight.
I think it's the bigger money fight, honestly. You put that fight in Canada.
Oh, Canada.
You put that up in Toronto or Ontario.
Right. Or Montreal. Even.
Money. You could put that thing over in British Columbia, like in the middle of the tundra, and people would drive and fly in for this thing.
I think GSP would still win because I would never bet against GSP, but...
It would be a good fight to watch. The
Right.
wrestling ability would be off the hook.
Yeah, but I feel like GSP would want to stand against Khabib.
But we've seen Khabib could stand at this point.
Okay, they're standing against Conor McGregor, who's just going to be a loose cannon, and then they're standing up against George St. Pierre.
The best technical fighter in the business.
And so George St. Pierre would destroy him. and it would be a mental game mixed with a technical, oh shit, GSP is coming at me.
It's a chess match at that
Right.
point.
And GSP with his kicks, GSP with his punches,
His
GSP with
spinning
his shoots,
kicks.
his shoots, his ground game. It would rival, and Khabib has never faced off against somebody like GSP, nor will he ever, because GSP is one of a kind. So,
All right, so real quick, UFC 232. We know it's going to be Jones and Gustafsson too.
okay,
And we just got announced today, Cyborg versus Nunez.
in
Well-
December. This is in December.
This is December 29th. So
Right.
you got Jones and Gustafsson's going to be your main event.
Right,
Nunez and Cyborg will be probably your co-main.
right.
And this literally just came out today, champion versus champion.
Mhm.
Meets for the featherweight title in Vegas.
Okay. Honestly, that card looks a lot better than the 25th anniversary one.
And we only know 2 fights on this
Right.
card.
So with this, you look at it, Nunez versus Cyborg, that's going to be phenomenal because, seriously, these are 2 women who fight like men, and even men would lose to, because these 2 are monsters.
Well, one's rumored to be a man, but we'll leave that one.
Details.
That's details.
And then you have Gustafsson versus Jones, which Gustafsson has been wanting this fight ever since he lost to Jones. Now, this Gustafsson was the only person to push John Jones to a limit he had.
And some people think Gustafsson won that fight.
Some people do. And I'm not one of those, but
I think it was a champion.
damn
I
fucking
think it
close.
was a champion advantage. We all know
Right.
there is a champion advantage going into a
Right,
fight.
and I think it was damn close. And, Gustafsson gave it his all, and he wasn't as good technically as he is now. After some of his fights, he kicked the shit out of Glover Teixeira.
But look how long Gustafsson was down after that
Right.
fight.
Yeah, but you have that after a big fight, and there's that letdown period. So you have to be able to move on from it, and he has, and he's gotten better.
Right.
So he feels more comfortable in the octagon now. Is he kind of a little bitch for not wanting to fight Lionheart? Yeah, but Ozdemir versus Lionheart is going to be, in JR's terms, a slobber knocker.
Those are details, though. Those are details.
Yes.
Then, tonight, we got Mitrione versus Bader.
I think this is going to be one of the best fights of the year.
We got that fight is on Bellator, and that's free on TV
Now, here's the
for
thing about
everybody.
Ryan Bader. Ryan Bader could be the first Bellator champion to have 2 belts. Because Gegard Mousasi and Roy McDonald was a catchweight fight. This right here, if Ryan Bader beats Mitrione and beats the winner of Fedor versus Chael Sonnen, damn, dude.
And that's a heavyweight Grand Prix semifinal. Also on that card, we got Big Country Nelson versus Sergey Kachanov.
Or Krokop.
It's not Krokov.
Krokop.
No, it's Sergey Kharitonov.
His nickname is Krokop.
Okay. Well,
He's the legendary Russian fighter alongside with Fedor.
well, I thought that was Mikko Krokop. It's not the same guy. I know who Krokop is.
Bellator, what is it? Bellator
207.
207.
But then later in the card, we've got Lorenz Larkin versus Ion Pasco.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good
That's
fight.
a WWGP alternate fight.
Matt Mitrione, and then Roy Nelson.
Then we got Baby Slice, which that people don't know, that's Kimbo Slice's son,
Right.
versus Corey Browning. And this will be in the lightweight division.
Should be very, very good. Yeah, he is not as big as his dad. So
Cardington Banks versus Mandel Nalo is also on that
again,
card.
with Bellator, you have the top end where near the end you have a lot of young guys who are kind of picking it up.
Right. So this is going to legitimately be a good fight. And it's free on TV. That's what makes Bellator so great, is the fact that you can see a lot of their great events.
Zone.
No, this is on Spike TV.
So tomorrow's gonna be on the Zone.
Probably. Tonight it will be live on Paramount.
Okay, which is good because.
And I will watch this till I go to sleep because I do want to see Mitrione versus Bader to see how this sets up. which is also tomorrow night,
Right.
Fedor versus Sonnen.
So here's my predictions, and I'll just do it on the 2 main events. Bader wins and Fedor wins. So it'll be a Bader versus Fedor.
For the heavyweight championship?
Yes. And Fedor's probably going to win it all. And he was my pick from the get-go.
I mean, there's still some good fights. Even you got Benson Henderson versus Sadawad. That's on. Benson Henderson's always fun to watch.
He is when he's on. So when he's mentally there, he is. But if you saw his last fight, he was there, and I don't know, man. It's just his next fight I'm curious on, and I'm not too confident in Benson Henderson.
And it looks like both of these fights actually are on are free on live TV. So you get 2 nights of Bellator, one like back to back.
Interesting.
So by the end of the weekend, we will know who their heavyweight title fight is, which is going to be amazing.
And it's in 2 different cities because they know if Chael Sonnen wins, then he won't shut the fuck up.
Chael and Fedor's in Uniondale, New York.
Right.
Mitrione and Bader is in Connecticut
Right.
at the Mohegan Sun Arena.
Right.
So at least we get Chael running his mouth on the Bader Mitrione fight.
Right.
Maybe.
I don't think it will though. I think
Because
Fedor is
Mitrione and
too
Bader
far
is
to go.
first.
What?
They're first. Mitrione and Bader is
yeah.
first. So is Chael going to be at that fight, calling it like he normally would, or is he
no.
going to be
No,
in Uniondale waiting on his fight?
because that's a long drive. So I think it'll be Big John.
Which I'm okay with that. I just like Chael just because he gives that like heel feel. Like, you know what I mean? Like he is that. So that's our UFC MMA combat talk.
Right.
And it only took us 40 minutes.
That's not bad.
That's not we actually were sitting here ballparking. It was going to take us probably an hour
At least. Yeah.
at least. But that was before we even knew about the Bellator card.
Right. Right. And
So
again, it's a very good card. A lot of youth, but
also a lot of your older guys as well.
right. Right.
And I think and plus people watch Bellator because these guys are juicing.
Oh yeah.
Look at what's his name, Frank Mir.
Right.
The man's juicing again, and I think fans are okay with it as long as
Look
it's.
at Ryan Bader. I mean,
That's true.
Dude is yoked, but
Look at Fedor.
Yeah, that's why he was so good in Pride.
But Pride was considered as what? One of the most corrupt fighting systems out there.
Yakuza had that locked the fuck down.
So you want to talk some college football real quick before we get into NFL and all that, because there was an ugly game on last night.
Yeah, Texas
Oh.
versus TCU.
No, I'm talking about the Giants game.
Oh yeah. That was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah, really bad. So we're going to go here through the top 25 real quick. We've got South Florida versus Tulsa tonight.
Don't care.
Tulsa's 1-4. The only team they beat is Memphis.
Don't care.
Minnesota, Ohio State.
Ohio State's got that easy.
But this could be a trap game.
Could be, but don't
Won't.
fucking lose your shit. Don't blow your wad too early there, Ohio State.
Right. Then we got Florida, Vandy.
That should be a good game.
Florida coming off the upset of Kentucky.
I think Florida will still win, but I think it's going to be a very good game.
Then we got Tennessee, Auburn.
Auburn's got that easy. Jarrett Stidham is just too good. Tennessee's just way too bad.
Pittsburgh versus Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
This could really be that big trap game.
Yeah, that very well could be, but I don't think Pitt has anything offensively. Defensively, yes.
They've got
Offensively,
a running back that has like 600 yards rushing right now. Pitt does.
well, that's because all they can do is run the football.
Georgia, LSU.
That should be a phenomenal game.
And we were talking about this one at one point.
Yeah.
I think LSU can pull up the upset.
I think talent-wise, Georgia should have this. So I'm going to go with talent and the possibility of being that much greater. So Jake Fromm is playing out of his mind. So
And Joe Burrow's 89 for 165, 1,215 yards, 6 touchdowns.
not bad.
Not bad for somebody who just transferred in, new
Right.
system.
Who did not have a full training camp.
But the thing is about this is Urban Meyer runs the same offense as the SEC
Yeah, but
to an extent.
LSU's doing more I formation stuff and more under center than.
But LSU's also got a heck of a running back with Brissett.
Yeah.
We got Washington, Oregon.
Washington's going to win this, but Pac-12 is done, so they're not going to make it into the playoffs, so it doesn't really matter.
Michigan State, Penn State.
Penn State should have this.
It's a 3:30 kickoff at Penn State.
Penn State should be able to win this game.
But this game scares me.
It should, especially after last week when Michigan State lost.
To Northwestern.
So Mark D'Antonio usually after a loss is a lot better. But, again, Penn State should win this with Trace McSorley in that defense.
Baylor and Texas.
Texas should win easy. Should, especially after beating Oklahoma. Now, Kyler Murray, a fucking monster. He really put Oklahoma on his back, outran the Texas defense.
The only thing I'm worried about the Texas defense is their DBs.
Yeah.
Because you're bringing in Jalen Hurd, who's has 42 receptions, 550 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Right. But I would still say, with all that being said, Texas's offense should be able to just dismantle Baylor's defense.
I mean, if this runs the way it is, we could very well see an Oklahoma-Texas Big 12 championship.
Yeah, good.
Depending on if West Virginia loses again.
Right, but Texas plays West Virginia coming up here in a couple weeks.
We got UCF, the unofficial national champions from last year, number 10 ranked.
Right.
Versus Memphis.
UCF should have this easy. Memphis, like you said, lost to Tulsa, so.
UCF is starting to make the case of why we had the playoffs.
Right. And why it should be bigger than 4 teams.
Right. We got Texas A&M, South Carolina.
Texas A&M should win.
Easily.
Easy.
Then Alabama, Missouri.
Alabama should kick.
This game right here, it has me intrigued. West Virginia, Iowa State.
Yes, because is this in Ames?
This is in Ames, yes.
So it's always hard to play in Ames.
And this could very well knock West Virginia out of their number 6 right now.
It could also knock Will Grier out of the Heisman talk.
Yeah, depending on we've seen Iowa State upset teams like an Oklahoma.
Right.
Didn't they upset Iowa one year as well?
They did, yeah.
So Iowa State's one of those sneaky teams.
They're good. They usually don't have enough talent, but whenever it's in Ames and they have enough juice, then they are a scary team to play.
Then we've got Miami and Virginia.
A good game.
I think Miami takes it.
Yeah. I don't think Virginia has enough with it, but Miami...
Their defense is nasty again.
Yeah, it's just the offense, man. It concerns me. So you need points, and, they benched their quarterback, Rozier, and...
Mid-game.
I mean, that says a lot. Mark Richt was not afraid of that, but he probably knew he needed a spark.
Then we have a Big Ten matchup of top 15 teams. Wisconsin at the Big House for Michigan.
I think Wisconsin has this game. I think it's going to be a very close game.
I think it depends on what Shea Patterson shows up for Michigan.
But I don't expect too much. I'm coming at this from a Longhorns fan perspective and coming in Big Ten country. But I just don't think Michigan is as good as what people say they are.
They're good if you don't shut them down all the way the first half, they can come back on you. And Northwestern saw that. Colorado and USC. Colorado is 5-0.
They are, and I feel like they're going to win this game because USC is just down this year. They're very, very young. Next year should be a better year for USC, so I think they're going to lose.
I don't disagree with you. I think it's going to be one of those games where people are like, oh, what?
It's like, why? Well, when USC lost to Texas, that's when people kind of got off the USC train.
Well, I think that's the problem now.
Yeah.
Then we're going to switch gears, NFL.
Okay.
Real quick. Last night, the Giants got manhandled by the Eagles.
I turned it off after after halftime.
It was 34-13.
Though Saquon Barkley got me 35 points in fantasy. So
he ran for 130 yards, touchdown. He had 9 receptions, 99 yards. Didn't he have a couple kick and punt returns as well?
Yeah, and then he had a touchdown.
He had
as
it.
well.
So this is the thing. Is it time for the Giants to move past Eli?
It's been. So
I've been making hot takes saying, like you heard it on Knuckles and G-Nice, me saying they go after McSorley.
I think that's a good fit.
Or Haskins.
Haskins is. They need somebody that can move around a little bit more.
And McSorley's that guy.
McSorley's that guy.
And then you could put McSorley back with
Saquon.
Barkley.
Yeah.
And then you have OBJ, you have Ingram, you have Shepard. You
Right.
have the makings of a high-powered offense in the NFC East that you need to be high-powered
They need
in.
an offensive line, though, and that's kind of their big concern.
Which you could probably get McSorley in the second, third round,
Right.
depending on how the Heisman goes, because he's still in the Heisman running,
Right.
just not in the top 5 picks. He's in like maybe 6.
Right.
If he has a big game against Michigan State and Michigan
Mm-hmm.
and Wisconsin, you could easily see him climb.
Oh, yeah.
Then we got the 1 o'clock game is the Buccaneers and the Falcons. The 1-4 Falcons.
I think the Falcons get off the schneid on this one.
Well, the Buccaneers are playing Winston, I believe, again. Then we got the AFC North rivalry where people are going to get hurt.
Yeah.
The Steelers, Bengals,
Felons are going to get hot.
and they're playing in Cincinnati.
Right. Vontaze Perfect is back. You have a beat-up Steelers team. I think the Steelers will win this game, kind of.
And they're looking forward to
Nice.
Bell coming back after this game.
Right. So I would say Steelers have this game, but you know
The over-under is 51.5.
that sounds about right.
The over-under for Atlanta Buccaneers is 57.
Sounds about right.
Then we go to my 1 o'clock game, the Chargers and the Browns. It's in Cleveland.
Browns should be able to win this game. Chargers are missing Joey Bosa a lot. That defense doesn't look as good. Offense.
Phillip Rivers is starting to show his age.
Yeah, so I'd say the Browns have this, and the new Phillip Rivers is Baker Mayfield. So
I like that comparison. I really do.
I think it's very apt.
Then we get a game that I don't even really care about. You got the Seahawks versus the Raiders.
Don't fucking care.
Right. Bears Dolphins.
Don't care.
Cardinals Falcons.
Don't care.
Jets Colts.
Don't care.
Panthers Redskins.
I think the Panthers get this done.
Bills Texans. Which by the
Don't
way,
fucking care.
I did pick the Texans over
Don't
your
fucking
Cowboys.
care. Don't fucking care. Fuck you, Texans.
But you knew this was going to be a
Yeah.
rough game for Dallas.
Just because defensively they're so good, and Dallas for some reason can't get their heads out of their asses, and I think it's mostly play calling on the coach's side.
Rams Broncos.
Phenomenal match. Rams win.
I think Rams dominate this up and down the field.
I think Case Keenum's not going to know what to do.
Your Cowboys versus the Jacksonville Jaguars.
So Jacksonville's beat up this week, especially. So
I think morale mentally wise they're beat up too after Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Yeah, so I think if the Cowboys have a chance to beat the Jags, it is this week.
Okay, I could see that. 420. Then we got Ravens Titans. Then let's get to the Sunday night game. Chiefs Patriots.
Right.
I think this is where the Chiefs take their first loss. Because I think Belichick's going to have defensive packages that frustrates Mahomes.
Right. I don't know, man. I would say I can see it both ways. It just kind of depends on what happens. So I would say Kansas City for right now, but I could definitely see the Patriots win.
Monday night game is going to be horrible.
Don't fucking care.
The 49ers versus the Packers.
Honestly,
The Packers are going
give the 49ers the first pick, all right? Let's just do it. Let's just go.
I don't know. The 49ers have the same record as like the Falcons.
Well, the Falcons are going to start winning again, so.
So the over-under on the Patriots-Chiefs game is 59.5.
I was about to say 60, so. Yeah.
The lowest that I'm seeing for over-under could very well be the Cleveland game, which is 45.5.
Okay.
Which we all know Cleveland. No, we got a 44.5, which is Panthers-Redskins. Ugh.
Yeah.
This is going to get bad, but we do have some big fantasy stuff. Any advice you'd like to give the people on Saturday for their fantasy teams? Like somebody maybe has slipped through everybody's little grip. Like Baker Mayfield might be one. I know that's a biased name
Yeah.
from me, but he is putting up solid numbers.
He is. I would also say this week Jared Goff, because he's coming off a loss to the Patriots and he didn't play that well. So I would say Jared Goff especially, and I would say Josh Brown was pretty good for me last week. So I would do that again. And then. And then the Titans defense, they're going up against a better team this week, but I think Tennessee's gonna have a good day defensively.
All right. So where do you want to go to next? What rabbit hole do you want to jump down into? The baseball playoffs are set.
Yeah,
we got the Red Sox versus
the Shit Sox versus the Shatros.
Hater. That's all it is.
Baseball players.
And I don't even know who's in the NL.
Dodgers, Brewers.
Okay, so
Dodgers should run through Milwaukee.
And honestly, the best series we're going to get is the Astros and the Red Sox.
Right.
Pitching and hitting wise, it's going to be.
Well, Astros pitching versus Boston's shit of a starting rotation.
Well, Boston's got a decent rotation with Sale. David Price is junk.
Yeah.
And he's always been junk when it comes to postseason.
And then their fucking lineup. Fuck them.
So then I wanted to bring up the Blue Jackets.
Okay.
They're actually having a pretty good. I know it's just the start of the.
They started a little rough.
They're 3-1.
They're 3-1. The Carolina game at home was rough, but now they're starting to hit a groove. They're starting to play a little bit more together, so that's a good sign. I'm excited about this Blue Jackets team.
Which they've been showing excitement for the last 2-3 years since Tortorella came in.
So they really need to win a series or two this playoff time. So they need to get something going.
I think they need to at least win one series.
I would agree, but they need to get off the schneid.
But it depends on who you match up against in the series.
And it's going to be very difficult if you match up against Pittsburgh or Washington Capitals.
Which I'm a diehard Blue Jacket fan, and I'm not upset that we lost to Washington only because Washington went and won it all.
I'd still be pissed. It doesn't matter. You lost. It doesn't matter what happens with that team. That team be damned. If you lost, you lost. You should just be pissed about that.
All right, so we're coming up to we were going to try to do 2 hours, but I think we're going to cut a little early, do an hour.
Okay.
So before we move into news and all that, new albums came out. Trey, you had a new album come out.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a couple of. I'm only like 3 songs into it, but from what I've heard,
their main single is fucking amazing.
Right, like what I've heard of it, I've dug. It's not really super heavy.
It's not. It's like a mix of Sublime and kind of new metal. And a mix of
it has that Stone Sour feel.
Yeah, it has Stone Sour. That's a good, but also, Asking Alexandria has that kind of mix as well. So again, I love that band, always have, but they have a good mix going on.
Other than that, I didn't see too many new albums coming out.
I mean, you have the lead guitarist of
Tom Morello. He had one.
He had one. It's a weird album, man.
Is it all instrumental?
No. He has rappers. He has EDM artists on there. I mean, it's music based, but
it's more to showcase him as a guitar player, I think.
Right, and it's not my cup of tea, man. He has Bass Nectar on there, which if you're an EDM head, you know that it's relatively. He's a big name right now, and it's just not my cup of tea. So, I mean, there's that.
I mean, did you get a chance to see Venom?
No.
From what I'm hearing, it's phenomenal.
I need to see it.
But I'm still waiting on it, but I haven't, I know he's going to give me crap for this. I still have not seen Infinity.
You need to, you fucker.
Which I will eventually get to it, but...
you had the DVD or something.
No, I was going to order it through On Demand.
Oh, okay.
So, and then plus I'm cheap.
Yeah, cheap fuck.
I'm doing something for our top 5. I'm trying to get us a setup for the top 5 so we can have something to...
Go on.
Something to base ours on.
Wet your whistle a little bit, lube up, and everything. Get everything all ready for our top 5.
Hey man, before we went live, you were talking about all kinds of weird stuff.
Hey man, I don't know what you're talking about.
So what I did was I brought up the top, like this was in 2017.
Yeah.
Top most searched terms on Pornhub.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with that's our basis, even though it's
Are we
20.
doing the top 5 now then?
Is this something you've been really waiting forward to?
I mean, I actually, anytime I see you, then I start thinking about it. But anytime like we're not in the same room, I totally forget about it. So.
That's kind of weird that you think only about sexual fetishes when I'm around.
Because I know it's the top 5, you dick.
So before we get into our top 5, I went to Cosmo.
Okay.
10 weird sexual fetishes that may or may not blow your mind.
Okay.
So we're going to go off Cosmopolitan, which is a
Okay.
widely woman's magazine.
Right.
Number 1, foot hookers.
Yeah.
This is high rolling dudes pay up to $200 and $100 entrance fee up at a private spa to lick and worship women's feet.
No.
Number 2 is a girl stuck in quicksand.
Not bad.
I think that's more of the damsel in distress thing.
Right.
Girls who can't start their cars.
Okay.
I
feel like that's the same kind of deal.
cake farts.
Cake farts.
Yes, I love the look that you gave me.
Cake farts.
The technical word for a fetish for human flagellants is I can't pronounce it.
What?
It's EPR. It's like eproctophilia.
Okay. Yeah. That's pretty
Is basically a girl sits on a cake and farts on it, and that's it.
What the fuck?
Right?
You fucking weirdos.
Objective ones. These are ones that like to have sexual fetishes for inanimate objects. Like, we saw the one on Facebook and where the woman was in love with a roller coaster.
Right. Okay.
And that seems more like another country's
Right.
feel. Balloons.
I've
heard this, like some people get sexually aroused when a balloon pops.
Right.
So, yiffing, furries.
What the fuck?
Teddy bears.
Okay.
Modify their plush toys in order to better receive sexual gratification from them.
Alright.
They said
Cell phones? Is that in there?
Adult babies.
Adult babies.
People like adults dressed up as babies.
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you.
This is
What the hell?
This is Cosmo. This is a
Sure, whatever.
woolies. They're into wool.
Alright, whatever. Alright.
Like, yeah, that.
Alright, I can understand, like, the feel of something. Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. The number 1 most searched terms in 2017 on Pornhub. What do you think it was?
BDSM?
Lesbians.
Oh, fucking course.
Was the number 1 search. High and tie was second.
Okay.
MILFs were third.
Alright.
Then you're getting in like stepmom, stepsister, moms.
Incestual.
Right. Then you even got some on here that are like Overwatch, the video game,
Okay.
cartoon, VR. No, the cartoon is separate from the.
Really? From
Yeah.
the tentacle porn?
You're right. The cartoon one's more like Lois Griffin and Chris
So I can
Griffin.
totally see you going after some hentai porn there, James. You know, getting those tentacles up all in your ears and in your orifices.
Then we got the bottom of the list is Chinese.
Yeah, I mean, Asians are weird.
Not just it's Chinese and Koreans,
Chinese. All right.
but Japanese are within the top 10.
Wait, what's it? Chinese, Japanese, dirty. Look at these.
I do not condone anything that he says. All hate mail sent to Set Justice on Facebook
Thank you.
at the hands of
Give me your
justice.
hate. I love it.
I can't find anything for 2018.
Because it's not over.
Well, usually they give like a.
It's not over yet.
Like, especially around Thanksgiving, or what is it, Valentine's Day, they release the list of, like, top 5. Okay, here we go.
Whatever.
This is on crack.com. Top 5 trends in porn searches.
Again? God damn it, James.
There's some days. 5 trends in porn searches you never expect. One is Fortnite.
Okay.
They search for game-themed porns.
Okay.
I'm still reading here. So let's just let's just, people see a movie and they immediately search for its porn parody. Like Ghostbusters.
Right.
Or the phenomenal Stormy Daniels one. Then you have Christmas ones, or Halloween, or Thanksgiving. News, like Meghan Markle or Megyn Kelly. The President of America is also the president of porn.
Cool.
Which, if that's what you're searching for, I feel sorry for you. So, before we get done with this, let's just let everybody dive into a rabbit hole here of us.
We're sorry.
I'm
getting my list together.
This I said this last week. I don't know if our friendship is going to withstand what's going to be said in this room.
Right.
But I'm okay with it. We'll manage with it as sees fit, I guess.
Right.
Because no one's perfect.
Right.
Except for this sick fuck.
I'm perfect. I don't give a fuck.
Because I don't have no fucked up news. Just a woman who proudly breaks world record by getting her 27th abortion.
Hey.
In California.
That's a fucking round of applause right there, you dirty. Stop fucking.
So that's the
Or
only.
at least have like birth control, you sick.
That's the only messed up news.
That's kind of disappointing.
Like usually we come in here on a Saturday and I think all the.
Yeah, that's all. That's when all.
We have here a woman arrested for trying out dozens of sex toys in the middle of a Walmart store.
Hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta get that. You gotta. Test drive it, make sure it feels right.
I didn't even know Walmart sold sex toys.
Neither.
I didn't either.
No, I haven't been in a Walmart in quite a while. But,
I mean, my niece and nephews love Walmart. Like when you go to a new store,
kids do.
When you want to go to a new town, they think that Walmart's got something different that no other Walmart has.
Right. You ready?
I guess at this point, number 5.
Lesbians.
I'm down with that. Okay, I can see lesbians at number 5.
Yeah.
I'd fit in. I'd put lesbians at 5 for me. Number 4.
Domination, meaning I dominate the other person.
Some 50 Shades of Grey stuff.
Yeah.
Number 4
BDSM.
number 4 for me would be midgets.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't
creep me out, man.
I don't know what it is.
Right.
It's like a Deadpool thing. It looks huge in the hand.
Yes, and again, my favorite movie of all time is Deadpool. So.
I mean, if you honestly look at it.
Yeah. All right. Whatever.
Number 3.
MILFs.
Okay, I could see that. My number 3 is domination, but where I'm dominated.
Yeah.
But not like that dominated.
So you like a dildo up the butt?
No, I'm not. That's actually something else.
Oh, okay.
That's called fuck. There's actually a term for it.
No, folks, he wants it up the butt. He'll take a paddle and get it shoved up his ass.
No, it's called pegging. That's the actual word for it. Like I'm talking like I want to be like tied down, no marks or anything.
Right.
Light bondage.
Well, my next one's gonna be interesting.
Number 2.
I love pain. I love getting marked the fuck up. And my last girlfriend.
Yeah, I think this might be the last show of Hands of Justice, people. This might be it for the friendship.
Like you know how like some days I'll wear like a sweatshirt and shit, and that's because I had claw marks all over my back.
Number 2 for me would be MILFs.
Okay.
Now we get to the one
This
that
one's gonna fuck you up, dude.
I don't know. The other ones kind of have. So what's number 1?
No, I'll let you go first. This one's a doozy.
Number 1 for me is chubby.
I could have figured that.
I enjoy, but there's more in there that I just can't.
Yeah. You can't dive into it.
Right, I can't dive into it, but I do love.
You love you.
I love.
So you have midgets and chubby.
I mean, heck, if you give me a midget chubby woman, hey, I'm in heaven. And she's willing to dominate me, dude, deal. And she's half lesbian.
Alright, yeah. Alright, bye.
Right. So what's your number 1?
So mine's based on feeling and like what I like to like feel and whatnot. And that's latex and leather.
Wow, so you're just like all through the 50 Shades of Grey spectrum.
I'm a fucking freak.
Like, how long did you have to sit down and realize this? Like, did you have to...
It just happened right now.
Did you go through, like, your search bar and be like, all right, this is what I look at?
No, like, I just kind of did it off the top of my head. If you know me, I fly by the seat of my pants. But yeah, I'm a weird fucking dude. So yeah,
I thought I was weird.
I take it, man.
But yes, you have by far taken it.
Yeah, you're welcome, ladies and gentlemen, ladies especially. If you like that shit, I got you.
Well, that
Anyway,
it just is.
It's different.
It fucked up my head, dude.
Yeah. No, the whole shit of you being dominated kind of like I was like, what the fuck?
But you got to look at it from how I described it.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
I like when a woman will take control.
Right. And for me, like, okay, I'm a control freak, and you know this. Like, I need control. Like, on my other show, like, I run everything. And
Right.
we're very similar in that standpoint. But overall in life, I need control. I need to be out in front of everything. I need to have my fingers in everything, and I need to... Fuck off! That's not what I meant. Sexual innuendo. Ha! No, but for me, a lot of it's based on feeling and whatnot. A lot of it's based on just me being a control freak.
So I did bring up top 20th countries by trafficking on Pornhub.
Okay.
Not that kind of traffic, just how many people look at porn.
Right.
United States is number 1
Of course.
by a shitload.
Germany's probably number 2.
Number 2 is the UK.
Oh, okay.
Number 3 is India.
Right.
Number 4 is Japan, and number 5 is Canada. Germany is like number 7.
But they have the best porn.
And Belgium, South Africa, and Russia and Argentina, they're at the bottom.
So now, does this make sense? So my family dichotomy basically is German and Welsh.
Okay.
And also British.
Oh, well, now it makes sense.
Yeah,
Now it makes sense. But they did top the searches that define 2017.
Okay.
Porn for women, which is, I guess, more like sensual.
Me too.
Rick and Morty.
Yes.
Fidget spinners.
The fuck?
1080p. Because if you're going to watch porn, you might as well do it in high def.
Right.
ASMR. Audio. I don't have no clue.
I don't know.
Then you had the hentai.
Okay.
Then you have cheerleader.
I can see it. That was a close one for me, but I enjoyed lesbians a lot.
For men, the most searched terms were typically unsurprising MILF,
Yep.
stepmom, mom.
Right.
For women, it's lesbian, scissoring,
Because
and threesomes.
Imagine, so if you're like a child and whatnot, and your parents get divorced, and your dad marries a smoking hot wife, stepmom, Jesus Christ, you're like, damn girl, how you doing?
Now it's got me. I want to know what is ASMR.
Yeah. Just gonna look on your computer and be like, what the
an
fuck?
Auto-anonymous sensory meridian response.
I have no idea what the fuck that is.
It's an experience characterized by like a static, like or tingling sensation.
All right, so like more feeling.
This would be probably in your wheelhouse.
Probably.
Like massages with vibrations in it, or maybe like music that will send chills down the body,
Right.
roses down the body, like 50 Shades of Grey stuff. I get curious when I see those kind of words and I don't know what it is. Even the Urban Dictionary is blocked by the company, so I can't even search.
Yeah.
But yet they'll let me look at Cosmo's top 10.
Hey, makes sense.
But this right here, I'm gonna.
You look perplexed.
It says how to give a grapefruit blowjob.
What?
It's on Cosmo. It says how to give a grapefruit blowjob. Give him a BJ, sex, and a vitamin C combo.
I've heard of fucking peanut butter. I've heard of fucking pies, but now I've heard it all. Grapefruit blowjobs. Okay.
The grapefruit doubles as a sex toy and a stimulation of the vagina.
Now, here I have a question for you, James. This is going to be an interesting topic to discuss. Are you a man that enjoys one-on-one or multiple partners?
One-on-one.
Yeah.
I've done the multiple thing when I was younger.
Right.
It's
Jackie, close your ears.
It's not as
Glamorous.
as what the porns make it.
Right, absolutely. And, I don't know. I'd rather just one-on-one as well. So.
Because it's more intimate. Not just that, and
Now,
I'm more willing to show the kinkiness when in one-on-one situation
Right.
than I am in a group situation.
Now, James, me and intimacy have had our ups and downs.
That's very true.
And so, intimacy to me right now is...
But you can always hit him up on Tinder.
I don't do sites.
But, I mean, that's just me.
Now, here's another question. For those other people who do, like, the Tinders and Bumbles and all those other, like, online dating shits, is there a stigma now that, people don't meet in person? Or do you think it takes away from the, like, intimacy or romance? Or
I don't know if
does it hurt?
I don't know if it takes away from the intimacy.
Okay.
But it could actually, I think, to an extent, help the intimacy.
Okay.
Based off of you're willing to share those desires.
Okay.
Maybe you're ashamed of some of your desires, and if you do it through a text message or an app or something,
Right.
you can find that person that you're looking for. But I also think it takes away the actual communication factor.
Now, do you think any more, like, people still have that stigma of online dating being, like, a negative thing?
Yes, only because you've had instances with, like, Craigslist,
Right.
where you've had the Craigslist killer, you've had
Right.
prostitution, sex trafficking.
Well, and usually, especially when I was growing up, man, online dating, you would look as a fucking loser for being on online dating.
Yeah, because, well, I'm a little bit older than you,
Right.
like almost by 10 years. We had chat rooms,
Right.
like Ohio looking for whatever, and you
Right.
just go into a chat room and you might sit there all day.
Right.
But they've made it a little bit more, I guess, approachable now. Mainstream, because nowadays society is online is better.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm more...
Because you don't have to worrying about the face-to-face rejection.
I don't give a shit about that. I've been rejected so many times in my life, it's not even funny.
But how many PC snowflakes
Right.
will get rejected by a girl and they'll go home and
Cry
about it or kill themselves or...
Right, and that's valid, but I don't know, man. I'm a face-to-face kind of guy. Like, I enjoy conversation. I enjoy, like, actually hearing somebody's voice instead of reading it.
Right. But then that could open up you, like, video chatting.
Right.
Which...
But again, I'd rather the actual tangible person in front of me.
Like, video chatting, I think, is okay if you're in a long-distance relationship.
But they never work.
No, I'm just saying if it's, like, for a week. Like, if your spouse is out of town for a week due to a job.
I'm not saying there's not high points and whatnot. I'm just saying the low points don't appeal to me.
Well, I think a lot of it just comes down to your personal preference of what you would consider as a relationship.
Right.
And the whole point is you do want to find that it person.
Right.
The person that you come home every day to and you're like, I want my bondage. I want tied up. If you're with, like, let's just say Susie Homemaker and you brought her the list that you brought me, your relationship's done. Unless you brought this up, like, early in the relationship and she was into some of it, then it would be a whole...
Well, you know what's funny? The girl I was with for a minute, I kind of told her all my things, and she was all down for it, so...
But
whatever.
You do have times where they're not into it and they're willing to stay with you.
Yeah.
But then, before you know it, you're jumping down rabbit holes.
Right.
Like looking at porn and looking at this, and then you get into spouses thinking, does my loved one love porn more than they love me? Then before you know it, you're on Dr. Phil.
Erotic asphyxiation.
Well, if that's your deal, that's cool.
Yeah, so Jackie watches this episode. Things are getting interesting.
No, she knows a lot of mine. She knows a lot of mine already. But we've been together almost 8 years. Right. And you can't really hide that for 8 years. But there's also people out there, like I know specifically people that are like not me, but someone close, I'm not going to say a name. they're into like fantasy rape porn.
I can see that because just kind of the high you get, adrenaline and whatnot.
Of the force, it's staged, obviously,
right.
but
And like for me in pain, like what did I do for multiple years? And that's fighting.
right.
And it's a drug for me. It's something that I enjoy. I don't know why I enjoy pain so much. Masochist and all that, but
It's just how your brain is wired. You got beat up probably a lot as a child.
actually no, I didn't.
Or you did a lot of beating up.
And I don't know. I'll make fun of
Or based off your top 5 list, you've had a lot of built up sexual frustration
probably.
that now that you're a B-adult.
Yeah.
You're not an A-adult yet. You're an B-adult.
24. Come on.
You're not an adult yet. Once you hit 30s, then you become that A-adult.
Really? Is that
You gotta-
versus 21? Then it's 25.
To me,
now
you're
it's 30.
to me, you're still a B-adult.
Wow.
But this is just how you got to look into it is online dating, whatever it is, okay, whatever your bag is, baby, like what Austin Powers said,
I can't.
that's not mine, that's not my bag, baby. But that's the thing is, like, we found out a lot about celebrities that we didn't know about sexual until after they died.
Right.
We didn't know the dude from Kung Fu was into erotic asphyxiation.
Yeah,
We didn't know a lot of this stuff, and I think some of the stuff is better left unsaid and at home.
Well, and unfortunately now ours is not. So.
Well, that's if they want to believe our list.
Yeah, that's true.
We're not saying we gave them a real list.
True. And we don't give a fuck.
Right. So go ahead.
Next week, James, since I picked this one, what is the top 5 for next week?
Let's change it up and go with top 5 UFC fighters.
Okay.
Since and it doesn't have to be a specific weight class.
All right.
But you can only use one fighter from each weight class.
Okay.
So you can't have a top 5 just of featherweights.
So what if a fighter's been in multiple weight classes?
You have to specify what weight class you're taking him from.
Okay.
Because if you use, like, let's just say Frank Mir, and he's fought in other divisions, but you say he's a heavyweight, you can't come back with Cormier unless it's a light heavyweight.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's what we're going to do next week. It'll probably be a pre-tape because we're getting close to the Jericho Cruise and everything.
Fuck.
So
you fucking where the fuck is Mayweather?
So we're trying to figure this all out. If you have questions, send us to it at Hands of Justice Podcast on Facebook.
And or go email us at handsjustice@gmail.com.
So, and one of us will respond. I'm more on social media with the Facebook. He does a lot more of the email, the YouTube. So just send us your questions. After you see this video, if you get inclined and want us to know your top 5 fantasies, not fantasies, sexual fetishes, because fantasies is a whole, that's a whole different.
That's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah, that's a whole nother top 5. I think we can do just an hour on that.
Fuck yeah.
So if you want us to know your top 5 fetishes, you can send it to that. Put it in the subject line fetishes.
Right.
And we will actually, if we get any of them, we will read them on air next time. Of course, anonymously.
Right.
Unless you don't care if we tell you people your business.
Let us know what you want. We can use first name, last name, or a fake name.
Or you can give us a name that we'll use.
This is Jimmy at Fred Durst at gmail.com, whatever.
Did you see him almost get drop kicked by Shaggy Two Dope from ICP?
That's why I said it.
So with that being said, we are out of here. Thank you for watching. Share us out. If you're not a fighting fan, you don't like what we talk about, somebody in your family does.
Absolutely. Let people know. It's Hands of Justice coming at you. And we will be here next week for you. And every other week that we choose to be. So goodbye, fuckers. It's been a pleasure. And have a good day.